when we get you a Freebae episode, my friends. Let's thank some good people like the Mad Dog, Manny Aurora. He's a lawyer, like a really good defense attorney. White collar crime, DUI, drug offenses. By the way, you don't have to be white to do a white collar crime. Appeals and more. Based out of Georgia, but litigates all over the United States. That is the AuroraLawFirm.com. Ask for the Mad Dog. Tell him you listen to the BS. My wife, the Guy, is back. That is Rachel Guy. And she is now doing real estate in both Florida and Georgia. She was actually just up in Georgia not that long ago, and she's got a sign out in front of a house in Florida just the other day. So she's rocking and rolling. So if you're looking for the best of the best when it comes to real estate, you can reach out to my wife. Just don't get weird on the emails. I am RachelGuy@gmail.com. IAMRACHELGUY@gmail.com. If you are in Alabama, if you listen in Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Texas, Utah, and or Virginia, then FBC Insurance is definitely somebody you want to reach out to. Perfect for new homeowners like myself, looking to reshop your current insurance policy. If you're looking for insurance for your home, flood, auto, motorcycle, boat, recreational vehicle, or personal property, FBC Insurance would be the one to go to. Shop over 35 A-rated companies. 888-308-1841 or email them directly, info@FBCInsuranceServices with an S.com, or get a quote online, FBCInsuranceServices.com. Ridgeline Counseling, that's Dr. David Markwell. And if you are in Georgia, you can go walk in and see that beautiful smiling face of the good doctor. He's got a location across from Sprayberry High School in Sandy Plains and East Cobb, also Marietta near the square, and then McKaysville just outside of Blue Ridge. But if you're not in Georgia like myself and you want to talk to the good doctor, he offers virtual sessions, which are easy, quick, very convenient. MarkwellTherapy.com. You can email him directly, ridgelinecounseling@gmail.com. And our title sponsor for Podcast Imports 3, which tickets are available via TheBaileyShow.com and or DistinctGrace.com. Inspect All Pest Services, providing the highest quality termite, pest, and wildlife control. Also taking care of your insulation, pressure washing, gutter maintenance, and other home services. Based in Metro Atlanta and the surrounding area, that's where they're going to get you the hookup. InspectAllServices.com. If you'd like to sponsor this fine program, if you need a website, need SEO work, we offer it all now. Just get a hold of me, Mr. Jason Bailey, via TheBaileyShow.com. Right there on the newly revamped website, on the homepage says me, like talk to me. All right, let's begin.
What do we want to talk about?
To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Welcome to the Bailey Show podcast, a guy show women love to listen to.
Intellectually immature nonsense.
That's
BS.
That's BS.
That's BS.
That's BS.
Okay, then, let's do it.
All right, there it is, your Freebae episode 224 of the BS. Thanks for being here. My name's Jason Bailey. Right there, that is the iron-fisted one, Chuck Lunsford. Hello, Chuck.
What's up, man? I bought one of those coffee cup gimmicks that when you put hot stuff in it, it's supposed to change into something else, and it doesn't work. So I'm gonna have to go back to London and change it out.
It says underground. Is it not supposed
Yeah,
to?
and then you put coffee in it, and then the whole like underground map is supposed to appear on the cup.
It'd be funny.
You've seen those, right?
Yeah, it'd be funny if you put coffee into it and there was a trick and it comes back and says, stupid fucking American.
That might be what it is. They might like idiot bought it.
Dumbass bought it. So the other week or so, we were talking about this new house that I'm in, and it's a septic. It's got septic, right? And so I think Manny, the Mad Dog, was on, and he was like weirdly knowledgeable about knowing about septic systems. It's just like he had all this information. And so, and this all started because my wife was like, we got to do something about you dipping with a septic system. You cannot put dip down the toilet. She read that on the Google. I'm like, oh shit. And so I was like, is this true? And Manny, I think, said that was not true, right?
I think he said it was true.
It was true. He said it was true. So this two-peer, this subscriber of the podcast reaches out to me. He lives in North Georgia, and he owns a septic company. And I should probably try to find his information. I don't know how he reached out to me, though. Anyway, so sorry, dude. I forget your name, but thank you for reaching out to me. And I think it was in Instagram.
This guy helped me out tremendously. I don't know his name right now, but he owns a septic company.
Ricky Page. Fuck you. Ricky Page is his name. Ricky Page is his name. I got it right here. Ricky Page. Two-peer for life, he said. So Ricky Page, I appreciate you, brother. He owns a septic company in North Georgia. And he's like, look, Mad Dog's a great dude, knows a lot about law, but let me get you the scoop. He goes, you can flush dip down the toilet. Do not put pouches down the toilet. Okay. So pouches bad, loose dip okay.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Okay.
But I mean, that's only for septic though, not like if you just like are at a restaurant or something.
Well, fuck the restaurant. It's not your problem. You know.
It's still bad. I think it's still bad, but whatever.
But then he says to me, he goes, the big thing is those dude wipes. Don't put the dude wipes down the toilet.
Really? I thought that's what they were for.
Right. It says flushable, right? It's on the package. It says flushable. So he says, not in a septic tank. He said, actually, some septic companies will charge you more if they go and they clean out your septic tank and they find that you're putting those things in the toilet.
How do they find that?
I don't know. I guess they go through it.
Oh, God. That's terrible.
It's disgusting, isn't it?
It's the worst job in the world, man.
Have you ever seen that? What was that wrestling movie with Dave Arquette and James Caan's kid that was in Varsity Blues, and they Diamond Dallas Page and everybody's in it and stuff like that. But they're septic guys and they're eating a sandwich and behind them it's dripping, and they're eating it with their hands. They're licking their fingers. Anyway, so he goes, don't put the dude wipe. So I'm a big dude wipe guy. And again, I don't like to talk bathroom stuff. So let's be mature about this conversation. And some of you might remember when I was on the air in Atlanta some years back, and I had a hemorrhoid. And my wife and I were in Destin because we were going to buy a condo in Destin as an Airbnb property. And the hemorrhoid got so bad, we were out at dinner one night that I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't sit down. It was so horrible. So this is only me, right? Only me this could happen to. So she takes me to the emergency room in Panama City Beach. We went to Panama City Beach, Florida, in order to have emergency hemorrhoid surgery at like midnight. Have you heard this story?
Oh, dude, I just took a sip of coffee and I almost freaking spit it on my computer. No, okay. I've not heard this story, and I did not know there was such a thing as emergency hemorrhoid surgery.
Yes, emergency hemorrhoid surgery. It was that bad. It was that big, and it was that bad. It was that painful. So it's embarrassing, like really embarrassing. So I'm in this emergency facility in Panama City Beach, PCB, Panama City Beach, Florida. And there's nobody in there. So we get right in there, but it's like midnight. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm trying to be optimistic. I'm going, well, the good thing about this is I'm having emergency hemorrhoid surgery in Panama City Beach versus back in Roswell, Georgia, where somebody might know who I am. So we get in there and I'm getting prepped for this surgery. My wife's in the room and the nurse is in the room. And the nurse is from Roswell, Georgia. Her family lives in Roswell, Georgia. She listened to the radio station back before she moved. Oh, like, oh my God. And so I'm laying on this bed, and they put the paper around my butthole, and the doctor is going to come in and he's going to take a knife and he's going to slice it open. Oh,
that's how they do it. I thought they just like pushed it back in.
No, he cut it. He would cut it. So I'm like, all right. So they numb me up. They give me some stuff, and I'm like, oh, go ahead, do it, man. So they do it, And I'm like, oh, it wasn't that bad. You know, it was fine. And they're like, you know, I would stop off and get one of those donuts to sit on because it's painful. I'm like, this is fine. Like, I don't feel anything right now. In the middle of the night, I wake up screaming. I was in so much pain. Like, it was so painful, I almost passed out. Like, I'm on the floor of this Airbnb and it's tile, and I'm rolling around on the floor because I'm just trying to find another feeling other than the feeling in my asshole. It was so painful. And
What was the pain?
because they took a knife up my butt, I guess.
Was it like achy, like the pulsating? Was it stabbing? Like what, burning? What kind of pain was it?
Oh, it was like a pulsating. It was like a pulsating pain. Yeah, a pulsating pain in my butt.
Oh, that sucks.
And because it was so late, we were unable to go get pain meds after the surgery. So I thought that, you know, I didn't think anything of it actually. You know, I just figured I'd get them the next day because it wasn't painful at the time. And literally like 3 hours later, I was in so much pain. So I was up all night, you know, just like cold sweats, and I'm just like stiff as a board. I'm just like trying not to be. Anyway, ever since then, the reason for me telling this story is ever since then, I started doing the dude wipes. Okay.
Why do they prevent hemorrhoids?
I guess they help. Yeah.
Really?
They're not bad on your butt when you do your thing, you know.
So you use those, but you're not allowed to flush them.
Right. You know, actually, you know who the person that turned me on to him was, the guy I worked with, that Steve guy. So he, you know, thank him for that. So he was like singing the praises. So ever since then, like, I order them in bulk, you know, off Amazon, dude wipes, and they're everywhere. I carry them with me. I've got them in a bag. If I go out, have to use the restroom outside, whatever. So dude wipes. Now I've got a septic tank. You cannot put the dude wipes in the septic tank. Again, from what I'm being told, if your septic gets clogged, backed up, whatever, they find out you're putting them in there, they might charge you even more than what it is to do the dude wipe thing. I'm like, okay, not good. No bueno. What do I do? It was suggested to me to buy a bidet.
Oh yeah.
I've never used a bidet. When I was a kid, my second stepfather was very wealthy. And back in the day, in the 80s, like, to have a bidet was, you know, you're next.
Balling.
Yeah, you're balling. So in this bathroom, he had a toilet and a bidet, you know, like an actual porcelain bidet. So I'm like, okay, well, I know nothing about bidets. And I forget who I was talking to, but they're like, oh, they're really inexpensive. Just go on Amazon and search for bidet. And I think I've seen these before, but they're like $30. You know, I mean, you can get one, they're $30. You can get one that's $3,000. I mean, they're all over the place. I'm like, so now I'm researching, you know, will a $30 bidet work? You know, right now I'm going, I've got so much money that I'm spending on this house and all these things. I just want to settle down and stop spending money. I was like, bidet was not in the budget. So I go on Amazon, and the overall deal, the user's pick or whatever it is, they're like $27.99. I'm like, well, I got to get one for both bathrooms, you know, because I got to have one in both bathrooms. And it's this bidet that you connect to your existing toilet seat. Okay, so you take off the toilet seat, you take the two, you flush the toilet, you turn the water off, you flush the toilet. Okay. And you can even leave the water, like there's going to be a little bit water left in the tank. We just put in brand new toilets. So there's a little bit of water. I was like, so I got a bucket under there thinking that it's going to drain when I take the thing off. It didn't. You know, I took the thing off, and whatever the contraption is that's on the hole keeps the water up there, which was great. So I just took off the water hose. They supply you with a T, you know, and then you put the T on, you connect the water hose to that, and then you take the other water hose, you connect it to the T that goes to this bidet, and you take the toilet seat off, and then you put the bidet within the holes of the back of the toilet seat. And then on the side of your toilet, it's a remote control, right? And different bidets have different ones. It's got all these different functions. All right. Do you know what I'm talking about? Is this all like,
I feel like Rachel's just so like saddened by the things that she has to live with, like with you. Like, this is the weird, you're putting in 2 bidets in your house because of your hemorrhoid problem, And now she's got to like explain to people why her bathrooms look like handicapped people live there. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like if people come to your house, obviously the first thing they say is like, well, why is there a remote control next to me? And then they push the button because they're like, well, what is that? And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, there's water squirting out of it. This is weird. And you did it to both bathrooms.
Yeah.
Which,
Well, I'll get to the water thing here in a second. So there's a learning curve with a bidet. I will tell you that right now. There is a learning curve with a bidet. So I'm very excited because, again, not the best do-it-yourselfer guy. And I'm able, like the other day, I took off the water hose thing because I watched Tom the Plumber on YouTube. Now I'm installing bidets. I mean, what's next? The world is my oyster. I could open up my own Ace Hardware if I wanted to.
whip bar in the garage, baby.
It's getting out of hand. I mean, with these tools that I have and the ability that I have now, it's just crazy. So I'm like, okay, well, I got it. And then I want to, we got to test it, so I'm reading the instructions and they don't have, like, everything's emojis now. So on this bidet, they're all emojis. They're not, hey, this is for butt and this is for, so I don't know what all the little contraptions do. There's on this side remote control, there's a top portion and a bottom portion. The bottom portion is a dial. Okay. So one would assume the more you turn the dial, the stronger the stream, right? That is a true statement, and it has water droplets in like halfway through, like on your 3 and on your 9, they're halfway full. And on the 6, the water droplets full. So that's full blast. Got it. The emoji part on the top of the remote control has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons in the shape of a cross. Okay. In the middle is a red rectangle. I don't know why they didn't put an X, but it's a rectangle. That means off. Got it. On the top, there looks like a pink penis. And on the bottom, there's like a purple butt. Okay. And I don't know what's on the side. Oh, one's cleaning. One's to clean it. I think 2 are to clean it. I don't know. I forget which one's on the side. So anyway, I got to figure out what I'm shooting at, right? I got to figure out the aim. So I sit down and prepare myself for this bidet.
You did not. You tested it on yourself cold? Like, yeah. Is there like a rim shining option or something?
And you should stress cold, by the way, okay? So I sit down and I prepare myself to test this brand new bidet contraption that I got. And I'm like, okay. And I'm not really reading the directions. I'm just kind of figuring out the emoji pictures. So I push the button, what looks like a butt. I push that down. I sit down and nothing happens. So I go, I got to turn the dial, I guess. So I go and I turn the dial. And for some reason, my hand twitched because I was trying to be so careful, when you're trying to be careful and sometimes you just twitch. And I just turned the dial real quick. And my God, I had this stream of water go into my orifice. I felt like it was going to come out my nostrils. It scared the daylights out of me. They didn't have a warning on the box about the bidet stream. I thought it was going to shoot me across the room. So
maybe it's the Emina set or enema. Oh my God, I can't say that word.
Enema.
Enema. Maybe that's the Emina setting.
Enema.
I've never had one. I've never had one, but I imagine that's what it is.
I don't know. It worked, right? The problem is my bidet was not lined up properly. Lesson learned. So I was shooting cheeks in the hole.
You were bank shotting it.
So I had to get up off the bidet, look back at the bidet, and go, okay, well, this makes sense. So it says Kohler there. That would be the center of the toilet. So I had to move the seat over a little bit, and then I had to do it again. So I sit back down. Now I'm more careful, more comfortable with the bidet remote control. I push the butt setting, and I turn the dial, and I get my setting to where it was. I got to tell you, I think I liked it too much.
Shut up.
It was a feeling that I never thought I would feel. Like, I am worried about some of the I'm starting to question some things. Like, one, where was this my whole life? And two, can I start calling Rachel Ray?
Ah, see, I don't. But has Rachel used it and said that she enjoyed it, or is she like weirded out by the whole situation?
She's weirded out by it, and so is my daughter. I have
Yeah.
not yet used, I'm assuming, so it has a function for the front for women, and that's the pink penis emoji. And I don't know if that's what the emoji is, but it looks like it. So, women can use the bidet as well, which I thought was pretty cool of them to do, to have a function, for the back and the front.
Did you try that one?
No, not yet. I just said that. I haven't tried that one yet.
Why not?
I know, because I'm enjoying the other function right now.
That might be cool. Like, I don't know, cleans your pee hole or something.
Well, it doesn't wrap around. I mean, it just shoots straight. I mean, it's not magic.
Oh, you're not getting like shots from the front?
No, if
Like
you're
you're getting
if you're a woman, it's, I guess I don't know what it does. I'll get back to you on that. The jury's out.
Test it out and let me know.
So our daughter was staying over at her aunt's and her grandparents' house while we had Jeremiah fucking Sample and Zoe at the house, because they were staying in both the rooms. So she knew nothing about the bidet stuff. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to surprise her. And so we come in, and maybe some of you have seen this reel that I had posted. So we walk her in. She has no idea what she's getting into. I put her in her bathroom in front of the toilet, but she's probably 8 feet from the toilet. I mean, from the actual bidet. I mean, she's a ways away. And so I'm trying to film and get everything ready, and her eyes are closed and stuff like that. And so I turned the dial all the way full blast. This water shot all the way across the room and nailed her in the face and in her hair and on the mirror behind her. Thank God she wasn't mad about it, but I didn't realize, because she had just got her hair done. Our friend Jamie had just done her hair, that she couldn't get her hair wet or something at the time. I don't know. And it just drenched her. I mean, this stream was strong, like really,
So gross.
really. She's like, "Did you just spray me with toilet water?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
I think I just did. I'm so sorry. I guess that's where the water. Well, it's not really toilet water because it's coming from the hose. So it's not the water in the toilet.
I'm going to say it's always toilet water, man. I've heard that. People have said like, oh, in case of emergency and, the water goes out and you have to drink water, the water in the back of the toilet is potable. Have you ever looked at the water in the back of your toilet?
Yeah, but
There's
that's not where this water is coming from. This water is coming directly from the hose in the wall. So
it's still gross. Still gross.
It's coming from the pipe. So it's not toilet water.
I feel like once it goes near the toilet, it's toilet water.
No, it rains outside next to your toilet. It's toilet water.
Gross, man. Okay, so in an emergency, would you drink out of that bidet?
Absolutely.
No, you wouldn't.
Then why would you ask me that question? Of course I would. If I'm that thirsty, I will drink out of the toilet. If my dog can drink out of the toilet and I tongue kiss my dog, I will drink out of the toilet if I'm that.
God, that's gross. Oh,
I grew up in an era, a generation where, during football practice in the Florida heat, we had a hose attached to a PVC pipe with, with little holes in it that everybody put their lips on.
Yeah, nobody was pee-peeing on it.
I don't know what they were doing with their mouths.
You'd close your mouth on the PVC pipe and just suck it out.
People were doing it. I used to be the kid that I would put my lips on the water fountain too, until I learned that.
Oh God! You just put your whole lips over the entire orifice that the water comes out of and just suck it out. It's so gross.
Is that you get better gulps of water? So bidet's good. That's my point.
And your bathroom looks like a handicapped person lives there, which is cool.
No, here's the other thing. This is where I'm gonna sell you on this bidet. You can rest your phone and or your dip cup on this little remote. So it's kind of like a little table.
Not selling me. It still looks weird. It's like I don't know, like my grandmother when hospice came in and they brought the toilet seat that's like 12 inches thick, and you're like, how does somebody even use this? That's what I imagine your toilet's looking like, because you have this contraption underneath.
No.
So your
No.
toilet seat's not thick.
No, it attaches in the back, so it doesn't go under the whole toilet seat. It just goes in the back, and they're it's very thin plastic that's actually sunken down. So you put the toilet seat in it, so it's more of a outline, a plastic outline, and it sits in it. So it's not elevated at all.
Did you do a review on it?
Yeah, I am right now.
You didn't get on and type anything on Amazon?
No.
I love those. You got to do it. The people that put up pictures too, and they're like, "Well, this is what it looks like installed. This is how well it cleans me." You know, you're like, "Okay, that's what I go to." Every time I buy something, I look at those.
Well, one person, like, I usually go to the negative reviews to see what people are bitching about.
Yeah.
Because the positive reviews, are probably bots or somebody that works for the company. So I go to the negative reviews, and this one person was like, the only thing I don't like about it is it leaks. I was like, oh shit, what do you mean it leaks? So the actual squirter part of it like the guy was saying, it constantly drips. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe that's just his. So I did mine, and I look back, and he was right. It constantly drips. And I was like, nah, there's no way they made this so it just constantly drips. There's got to be an answer to this problem. There's always an answer, right? There's always a solution. So I realized that after I was done using it, I had left it on the butt cheek emoji. So I didn't hit the off emoji. Once you hit the off emoji, it stops dripping, dumbass.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because I was going to say your toilet would eventually fill up. Is that possible? Yeah, toilet will fill up and overflow, right? If water just keeps getting put into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like drip, drip, drip. I mean, it's very, very slow drips, So anyway, I highly suggest. I'm all in on the bidet. Whoever recommended that, I thank you very much. I forget who it was. It was well worth the $60 that I spent. And, I'm a bidet guy now.
And people that come to your house will have something to talk about.
You know what? Another thing that I realized now, being a bidet owner, is if you replace the T with an N, it spells Biden. I never looked at Biden's name.
It's so stupid. Why is that even the thing?
I don't know. I don't know. I just realized that nobody's ever made a Biden bidet joke. I've never heard a Biden bidet joke. I don't know what the joke would be.
I think because most people don't know how to spell bidet.
Maybe, but how many other words are that close to bidet? Like when
none.
None. Certain words, right? You automatically, your mind goes, it's like, oh, that looks like, or could be. At least that's how my mind thinks. So I was, sitting there and going, oh my God, it looks like Biden. It's not a shot to Biden. I'm just saying his name.
Why is it not pronounced bidet?
Because I believe it's French.
Okay.
I don't know. I have no idea. Would you please? Actually, you know what? For Christmas, I'm going to buy you a bidet. That's your gift.
Okay, yeah. I will install that never.
Why? Don't be the guy that doesn't take a chance and just.
No, it's weird. It's just the whole thing's weird. It's like, I don't know, man. Like I keep it normal. That's just weird.
Personal hygiene.
That's not personal hygiene. You're squirting yourself with water, and it's mostly for sexual pleasure.
Now it's become that, yes.
Wasn't my intention, but now I just sit in the bathroom for hours.
Not my intention at all, but that's why I said I'm starting to really second guess a lot of things in my life. The other night, my wife and I decided to be romantic and have relations, and she, for the first time, thought something that I wanted to do was weird, and that was when I brought in the garden hose.
Oh, I thought you guys were going to sit in opposite bathrooms and sext each other while you're on your bidets.
I was like, hey, honey, you okay if we do it on the toilet tonight?
Oh, God.
I bet you, hold on, let me Google that. I bet you that is a thing. Bidet.
Well, like doing the dirty on a toilet with a bidet?
Yeah, I bet you that's a, it's.
People are weird.
Oh, here we go. How to safely use a bidet for pleasure.
Is there an unsafe way? What's it going to hurt you?
HelloTushy.com.
Okay, Tushy.com is not that website.
If you have a vulva, you probably use a bidet to clean more than just your butt as you should. Bidets are amazing, blah, blah, blah. UTIs for women, right? Pros of getting jiggy with a bidet. Zero risk of falling off a bucking washing machine. Wide range of pleasure to experiment with sensation versus the Morse code edging of your vibrator. Hyper targeted point of impact. Ability to hit other erogenous zones that can be hard to reach with a hand or toy, like your taint or anus. No need to fully undress or sacrifice an electric toothbrush head for the cause.
This is not real. You're not reading this.
I'm not making it up. I can tell you that right now. No
Dude.
questions as to why you were in the bathroom for a few extra minutes. These are all really good points for women. Cons of using a bidet for pleasure. Chance of injecting water inside your vagina, which impacts your natural pH. Oh, so that's the other thing. Let me mention this. This was told to me. Actually, I think Jeremiah fucking Sample told me this story. There are some bidets that are electric where you plug them in. They give you a heated seat as well. Okay.
Yeah, hot water.
Yeah. Okay. So they come with a function where that you can air dry. Okay. Which is a good function, right? But if you put too much air up in your butthole, you can die. And there's, I guess, a story.
Shut up, dude.
No, and I guess there's a story of a man that used a bidet with that function, and he had too much air inside his butthole, and he died sitting on his toilet.
So,
He wants to-
when I was in the military and I was in England, we had, I was a military police officer, so we would respond to 911 calls, and we got a 911 call one night, and we show up at this guy's hotel room, and he's like, "Hey, I need the EMTs," and we're like, "Well, you don't get to choose, man. When you call 911, we all come." And the fire department showed up right after me, and the guy's like, "No, man, I need the EMTs," and he had like a blanket around his waist, and we're like, "Sorry, man, you don't get to choose. Like, what's going on?" And the fire department's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" So finally, the guy shows us, and he pulls his towel away, and he's got a phone jack. Do you remember the old phone jacks that would like go into the wall, or
Yeah.
like an internet? Like,
I've got one in my bathroom. I've got two in my bathroom. This is an old.
yeah. He had that inside his urethra, so he had put it up his penis hole, and he couldn't get it out. So the EMTs finally showed up, and they cut the line. And when they took him to the hospital, I was like, "Oh my God." I was like, "Dude, how does that even happen?" And the guy was like, "I don't know. I woke up this way. It's crazy." Right. And the EMTs were like, "Dude, you'd be amazed at the things we find inside people's bodies."
Yeah. EMTs have great stories about that, like frozen.
But I've never heard of somebody sticking an air canister of any sort and like up their butt and blowing themselves up. I don't know.
All right. So cons of using a bidet for pleasure. This is just, I'm assuming, for women. Let's see, risk of irritants and infection, especially using a bidet toilet that has not been properly cleaned or flowing water back to front. Risk of burns if you use a temperature controlled bidet improperly. Ooh. Possible desensitization if you go full pressure for extended periods of time. You become more bidet dependent if that's even possible.
Bidet dependent.
Right. Yeah.
You're going to become bidet dependent.
That's something that I worry about, though. You got it has a clean function. I just got to figure out how to do it. I threw away the instructions, but
What's going to happen is you're not going to be able to go anywhere else.
oh, like a place that does not have a
Like
bidet.
a rest stop or something, you're going to be like weirded out, and you're like, "I can't do it."
Well, don't, like, you just got back from Europe. Don't most of the toilets over there have bidets?
You know what, man? Last time I was in Europe was 10 years ago, and I remember them being everywhere. This time we stayed in hotels and Airbnb. So we stayed in apartments, houses. I did not see a single bidet anywhere. So I think the Europeans have kicked it. I think they've kicked the habit.
Well, if I buy you one for Christmas, will you promise to use it?
I'll put it in like my kids' room or something, like their bathroom. I'm not going to put it in mine because it's weird, but I'll put it in the kids' room and I'll try it once in a while.
Well, if you put it in the kids' room, they're going to play with it as a toy.
As you are.
Like, I'm telling you right now, and it'll be the poll for this episode. Let me write that down so I don't forget. Bidet poll. I guarantee, for those that are listening, if you've I find it hard to believe. I would say 90% of people that have tried a bidet loved it.
No way.
Very small percentage of people are anti-bidet after using it. I thought the same thing you did. One, I was like, this is going to look goofy, because they all have different styles. Everything you buy on Amazon, it's probably just one company, just in different designs, right? Coming from China or something like that. Who knows? They might be shooting, microchips up my butthole to spy on me. No idea. But I here's what I looked for when I bought it. One, I wanted to look pretty decent, and I got all white. Like you could get it in different colors, but I just got white, so it kind of blends in. And I wanted a metal tee. The other ones, there's a ton of them there, had plastic tee. So one thing I learned from a plumber a long time ago is you never go plastic to metal. Stay metal to metal or plastic to plastic, preferably metal to metal. So never go plastic to metal. So I didn't want them to send me this cheap plastic tee that I'm going to connect onto the metal, because I can just see that breaking or whatever, and then water goes everywhere, and that's going to suck. But anyway, so
I'm saying less than 1% of your listeners have ever used a bidet.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a big percentage of people, but what I'm saying is that if you do use a bidet, you fall in love with the bidet.
Because you're weird. There's a small freaking sexual deviants out there that are like, hell yeah, man, Jason's on the right track. I love myself a bidet.
Look, truth be told, and I'm not going to lie, it is very difficult not to use a bidet and to have your mind think sexual things. It is, I would say, impossible. And I would think it's even more impossible for women in the front, because if you want to be goofy and immature, you're thinking like, well, how do you not always do this when you touch yourself, or when you're in the show, like obviously that's not the case. But when you try something new like this, like when you get a massage, how do you not get a hard on every time you get a massage because it's sexual in nature? Because that's kind of how our minds think, right? The bidet, it's really difficult to get. I mean, it's going to take some time. I'm going to have to spend some time with my bidet in order to, cause I'm going, I did not realize how much I like that in my butt.
and now people are going to come to your house, and every time they come out of the bathroom, you're going to be like, yeah, how was that? Feel pretty good, huh? Feeling pretty good. And they're like, well, weird. Oddly enough, I have a hard on. Oddly enough, like every person.
So here's a couple other things is like you move around, and then you start to find that there's different spots, and you're going, oh my God, like that's a different feeling from here to there, so again, it's very, very difficult. And then here's the weird, I know it gets weirder, but here's probably the weirdest thing is that anybody that comes over to your house, it's like food, right? You're like, oh, you've got to try my chicken. When they come over, you're like, oh, do you need to go to the bathroom? You've got to try my bidet.
Stop it.
I swear. So when Jeremiah fucking Sample was at the house, I was like, dude, you gotta go in there and try the bidet. And he's a bidet, he's used them before. He's like, I will. Well, let me know after you try. That's just a weird conversation to have with somebody, right? But so weird. So if I have anybody, Amazon guy dropping off packages, you need to do the rest of it?
No, you don't. No, you don't. I hate that, man. I had those guys install my air conditioning unit the other day, and they were like, hey, you mind if I use your bathroom? And I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. And I showed them. And then like the dude's in there for like 20 minutes. And I'm like, come on, man. Like you can't go to Publix or something. Like you got to come into my bathroom and do that. You're like inviting people to do it. It's weird.
But here's the thing. It could actually serve a better purpose if you're having that problem. You say, hey, make sure you try out the bidet, because if they're in there for that long, they're going to think you think they're doing weird stuff in your bathroom. It might get them out, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So that's the reason you have the handicap stall. Smart.
Actually, I do have handicap stuff in my house. I got to get them taken out because the people that lived here prior to the people that lived here, they were older. So there's, the handicap rail in the shower and by the bathrooms and stuff like that. We got to take them all off. It's actually
just leave them.
Well, in the shower, I got to tell you, I'm keeping them in the shower because it's something. It's safe for rage. Let's just put it that way.
Safe for rage. Get out of here.
It's something to hang on to. Hey, look, we no longer, I think, live in a sexually charged. Well, I should say this: we don't live in a as much sexually charged world as we did in the '90s. It's different.
I agree.
It's different. It's not taboo. It's just looked at differently. There's a reason why. Who's your friend? The 20-some-year-old social media influencer that we
Michelle.
Michelle, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous young lady, right? There's a reason why she's got millions and millions of followers on social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably has a lot to do with the bikini pictures and so on and so forth. So that's kind of like the sexual revolution we're in now. In the 90s, it was more blatant. Wet t-shirt contest. I used to do a lesbian prize giveaway at gigs. I mean, we were female mud wrestling, naked women in the middle, and nobody came back to me and said, "Oh, Bailey, you're a misogynist" or anything like that. It was just, I'm a guy. That's what I'm into. We like it. It's different. It's cool. It's a once, a thing, that kind of deal. Now you're just, the Me Too movement fucked it all up. Not saying that it didn't do good things to get some bad apples out. But what I'm saying is that everybody's very timid. Like if you were single, I would hate to be single. Have to go up to a woman. I don't know what you can compliment a woman on or not. Like, do you?
Yeah, but Tinder's there now, and Tinder is like.
But that's what I'm saying. It's a different sexual revolution. Like if you compare it to the 90s or, even the 80s, you look at the 80s, rock and roll, 80s, women, all the rock videos, they were eye candy, right? With the gangster rap stuff, they were bitches and hoes. The porn industry, was a thing. And, they talked about it openly. Ron Jeremy became a household name. Dennis Hoff, who was a friend of mine, became almost a household name for the most part. Strip clubs were everywhere. Now, even me, I would think strip clubs are kind of dirty. Like unless I'm going for a reason. I used to live in strip clubs back in the 90s, in the early 2000s. I was there all the time. I must have dated numerous girls that worked at strip clubs here in Orlando. It was just like second nature. It was like, that's their job. That's great. They're beautiful. Let's hang out. That's the kind of thing. But now it's different. And it's kind of weird of how we accept it. Like Tinder, like you just said, Chuck, Tinder, it's acceptable. Okay. You can be as dirty and freaky as you want. And they're doing things on there that nobody talked about openly in the 90s or in the early 2000s or in the 80s. Right? Like even the freakiest of freaks wouldn't go and say, "Hey, look, I'm going to pay you $19.99 a month for you to send me pictures of your toe."
Oh, yeah. OnlyFans.
OnlyFans. Yeah, they're OnlyFans. There's another thing, right? So I was reading Comic-Con is going on in San Diego, right? And for those that don't know, Comic-Con equals orgy. These nerds, like the big one was at Dragon Con that they have in Atlanta at the Marriott. And I knew a lot of people, one girl in particular, her and her, I don't think her husband, we used to call her Beth the Ass Girl. And she would come on my radio shows in Orlando. I think I had her on in Atlanta a couple of times. She had a great ass, and she was a very beautiful girl, nice girl. And her and her husband were big cosplay people. They're
like furries.
No. They were just into like anime and stuff like that.
Okay.
So they would go to these cons and they would tell these stories and they would, share, they were open, they were swingers kind of thing. And there's always at these cons, these parties that these nerds have dressed in whatever it is. And they go up and they do like weird, freaky stuff. And she would go through and explain how it was. And her husband's doing this and she's doing this, dressed as, Wolverine or whatever they're dressed up as, And,
you call them nerds.
Well, I mean, I'm a nerd. I mean, I like Star Wars, so I guess I'm a nerd too. But I mean, that's what they are, right? A lot of these people weren't the hot people in high school, or hot people in college. So they found their niche and they found their community, and they've decided to get all this. Like video game nerds, they're freaky people too. They do all kinds of. There's a whole fetish for that online. Gaming porn or whatever.
Dude, I got to tell you, I had a girl I graduated high school with, and she lives in Kansas. Her name's Sarah, And she's got a Facebook page and all that stuff. I was friends with her on Facebook, and she said, "Hey, for Christmas, I'm selling calendars. If anybody wants a calendar, let me know, blah, blah, blah." And so I'm curious guy. And I was like, "What's this calendar all about?" So I messaged her. I'm like, "What's your calendar?" She's like, "Oh, it's going to be great. It's a surprise." So me and Megan's been watching her on social media, and she's like, "Oh, this girl's hilarious." And when I say I'm not going to say she's unattractive, but she raises cows for a living. Right. So anyway, we buy a calendar and we get it in the mail. She autographed it and everything. We open it up, dude, spread eagle, like full on X rated calendar. And I'm like, what is going on? So of course I bought the one the following year too. And then Megan told me I got to stop buying them, but it was hilarious. So, I mean, there's some freaks out there that I think it's those people in high school that maybe didn't get to explore a lot of their sexual inhibitions. So they do things like this, like OnlyFans, Dragon Con, like you said, the furries thing is weird to me. I don't understand the furries, but that's the thing we're in now, is that type of sex.
So Comic-Con attendees looking for a little sexy time over the phone are in for a treat. So I didn't even know phone sex was still a thing. There's a phone sex line offering to fulfill their fantasies, cosplay related ones. So this number.
Oh yeah. You got it?
Welcome to 1-800-PHONE-SEX. And our name says it all. Want me to send you a sexy pic of me? Press 1 now if you're over 18 to give your consent to receive naughty triple X stuff from me. Let us show you how sexy we can be by pressing 1 now, baby.
We're not shy like other girls.
We'll fulfill your dirtiest fantasies.
And you don't have to buy us dinner or drinks to get into our wet panties.
So let us spoil you now by pressing 1 or entering your credit card number. You deserve it, baby.
Yeah, they get the
Hey, sexy.
Huh?
Welcome to 1-800-PHONE-SEX. It's good to hear from you. So good. I'm going to give you 5 free minutes on this call. Experienced callers, enter your credit card number now or at any time during this message. Welcome to 1-800-PHONE-SEX, where the hottest, horniest girls like me are waiting to talk to you. Blunt.
So I'm not pushing any buttons because
why not? Push 1.
You get charged like $150.
No, it's like $8.99.
Still, I can't have that. That's just
you get 5 free minutes.
That's what they said. Then they
where they go, "Hi, Jason."
Yeah.
What was that, Jason?
Yeah, right. They go straight.
I can't hear you, Jason.
In the background, you hear some guy going, 4 minutes and 48 seconds.
Hurry up. You hurry with this money.
Right. Yeah. So they put out a new ad on X telling those heading to Comic-Con that ladies are happy to keep them company during the long weekend. But who does that? Who calls? Like,
yeah, that's kind of archaic.
It's a little bit, right?
And you're not getting a picture of the girl. It's like like every guy gets the same pic.
Right. And there's plenty of, you don't need to call to do that.
Did you ever call one when you were a kid?
Oh my God. I've never told you this story?
No.
Oh my God. Okay. So I'm like 7 or 8 years old.
Nice.
And my brother, who would live with us for like 6 months out of the year, he was at home at that time. And I somehow got I think it might have been the same fucking phone number, 1-800, whatever.
Is this Jason? Welcome back.
and my mother had this like old school looking dial phone hanging on the wall. And I would call it and I would just listen. I just would call it. There was no credit card to put in or anything like that. I would just call it and I would talk to these people for a long time. And I got addicted to it. So I started calling it at my friend's house. This one kid, Kurt, he's no longer with us, but he lived up the street. I'd go over to his house and I would go in the kitchen and I'd say, I'm going to go get a bite to eat. And I would call the number.
What a weirdo.
Right. So one day my mother and my first stepfather, they come, they're screaming at whatever about this like $800 charge on the phone bill. And nowhere in there did they come to me and blame me for it. They automatically blamed my brother.
Oh,
I still think to this day, I've never told my mother that was me. Because I mean, I think she might have asked, like, did you call, you didn't, girls like, you didn't call this number, right? And go, no, but I think I heard Jeff calling it.
all you needed was an intervention.
Right. Yeah. 7, 8 years old. I'm calling because it was just, you called and it was I believe it was like a 9. That was it. It was 900. It was 19. If you called a 1-900, you'd be charged. If it was 800, it was always free.
Yeah. They didn't ask you your age or anything when they were talking to you?
No, I think I did one of those. Hi, how are you? Yeah, talk like that.
Oh, yeah. And they believed it as they're sitting there going, man, his mom and dad are going to be so pissed.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Now you look at it. So if I was, let's say 8, I'm 49 now. That was 41 years ago. 41 years ago. Where do you think those women are now? Like, what are they doing?
Well, they would have been, let's say 20 average. So that they're probably in their 70s now. They're probably still doing it.
Yeah, because you could do that forever as long as you don't lose your voice.
Yeah, as long as you sound sexy. And some guys are into that, man. Like cougar calls or something, and you call it and it's like, hey, babe, what's going on? Want to touch my nipples? And you're like, hell yeah, I do.
So is that cheating? Like, let's say I got offered a job, because I would totally.
No.
I've got the setup, whatever I have to do. And I guess they set it up and they call and I pick up the phone. I'm like, hey, how are you? I got some girls dig the voice, a little gravelly, manly voice. And I would have some kind of script and I'd be like, yeah, I mean, I can do it. I can improv, got to have improv skills. Is that something that you keep to yourself, or is that something that you can share with your girlfriend, a new girl, your wife, and say, what do you do for a living? I'm the voice of a phone sex operator.
Okay, well, that's fantasy land because no women call dudes to talk to them.
I
Ever.
disagree.
Never, ever, ever in life. I think the question is it cheating for your wife to do it? Which depends how much they're getting paid, right? I don't think so, because it's also stupid and just make believe. I mean, it's not like they're really doing it. Like, oh, I'm touching myself. No, you're not.
Well, that's the same. You could say the same thing with cyber sex. If they're on and they're talking to somebody and they're saying dirty things,
then they can see everything, and then you're like showing your private areas and things like that.
Or texting. I mean, what if you're texting with somebody and saying things inappropriately?
Well, if it could really culminate in some type of sexual activity, then I think it's cheating, because then you have the opportunity. But if it's just a phone call, some random person from a 900 number, and you're just like, yeah, give me your credit card. I mean, it's like they're a freaking target. I mean, it's just taking easy money.
So you don't think women have ever been into calling phone sex lines for guys?
Maybe as a joke, like girls would get around in like slumber parties and be like, hey, let's call and like make fun of this guy, because they're just going to be like, you have a small penis. And then the guy's like, what? And then they hang up.
All right. So let me ask you this. Rach and I were having this conversation the other day. Do you think women go to, and do they even exist, massage parlors that do extra for women?
I hate to say this because I'm trying to figure out the right way. If they are physically in a manner where they would need to because nobody else would.
Yeah, but let's start with the first one. Do they exist? Are there massage parlors? Because for guys, they're all over the place, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think absolutely they exist.
Okay, they do exist. Now, are the masseurs?
Yeah.
Are they guys or girls?
I'd say probably both. And I'm comparing it to like Brazilian waxers, because my wife has, like, whenever we'd go like on a vacation to the Caribbean or wherever, it's like she'd be like, hey, I get a Brazilian. And I'm always like, do guys do that? And then typically I'm like, on the other hand, do the women Brazilian wax guys? And so when you really look into it, which I have, there are women out there that will give a man a Brazilian, and there are dudes out there that do Brazilian waxes, and some women go to them, which really? I don't know how they got that job, but sign me up.
Yeah. Oh, I would not allow my wife to do that. She's had laser. God, so.
No, but I think it's the same thing with massages and the happy endings for females. There is probably a very small market out there of women that are like, this is the only chance I got to do this. This guy's obviously good with his hands. And then they pay the $150 or whatever and take the ride.
Yeah, but I don't think people go to do that because you're desperate. I think people go and do that because it's different and it's freaky. And, you know?
I don't know, man. Because you think how many guys would sign up for that job if it was all 10s or 8s above? I mean, you're getting 2s, nonstop 2s.
I don't know. That's a documentary that should happen because that's very interesting. You know, I mean, it's a conversation that doesn't happen as often as it should happen. I think I think that's something to be talking about, right?
Well, they also need to talk about the fact that any woman that does do that, they would maybe be the one that would call your line when you're like,
I would, you know, this is a Freebae episode. So if somebody's listening that is a massage therapist that has ever had a woman ask for extra, or is a woman that's ever gone to a massage therapist and gotten extra, asked for it, you know, because I know there's some freaky guys. There's a place in Marietta that I used to go for a chiropractor, right? And she had brought in a massage therapist, and then she brought in another one, which was a guy. And this guy got arrested because what he would do was he would put his penis in these women's hands while they're getting a massage, which is fucking weird. Like, just weird. I guess he thought that they would like it and things would happen. And so there was like a handful of women, no pun intended, a handful of women that obviously called the cops, filed charges. The dude still is practicing massage therapy, like in the area.
so he wouldn't even ask, he would just do it?
He would just do it. Like they're laying down and
like hold this?
He wouldn't say anything. He would just put it in there.
That's so stupid. Is it illegal for a man? Like if you're giving a massage and a woman says, I want something extra, and you do it, is that illegal?
Yeah. Just like for a guy to ask for it. Sure. Cause you're paying.
No, I've watched that. It's like an episode of Cops where they bust all those people and like they go in and then the conversation has to happen and the money has to exchange hands. And then they walk in and they're like, sir, come with us. We're San Antonio PD, you know, and it's like an undercover sting. And the masseuse was a female cop, but I've never seen a chick that was in there that got busted. I don't think it's illegal for women to do it.
No, I'm pretty sure. The again, no pun intended. The rub is you're paying for sex. So, like Rachel's sister's baby daddy got caught in a sting here in Orlando. He went in to try to get sex.
Shut up.
He was on the news. Like he was the guy that the cameras were like, "What are you doing?" Right? And he was being taken out. You talk about a bad spot to be in, but I guess he just
embarrassing, man.
I don't think he was. I think he just owned it and was like, "It is what it is."
That's awesome.
Right?
Can you get him on the show? That is great.
Yeah. Like I've seen him since, I think, and just like didn't look embarrassed about anything. He just,
how's your wiener?
But I'm really curious if women go and do that. Like there's a spot, you know, I've never been into one. I've never like experienced, you know, obviously I would never do that, but I've never, at least now I wouldn't, but I've never experienced like going in and being offered, you know, extra or something like that. My only experience was that one in Marietta that I would go when I had the bad plantar fasciitis, and people were calling because the lady was taking calls while she was walking to my back, and they were going, "Hey, do you do extra? Do you do extra? Do you do extra?" And she was like, "No, we do not do extra." And I had no idea what it meant. I was totally naive. This was not that long ago. And I was like, "Do you mind if I ask you what extra is?" She's like, "Oh, you know what extra is." And I was like, "Oh, that." I was like, "They call you and ask you ahead of time?" And she goes, "Yeah, they do every day. We get hundreds of calls." And I was like, "Really?"
What? Yeah, I mean, I was in Beijing back in 2010, and I'd flown there. I was working, and I was like, I'm gonna get a massage, and I was worried about that. I was like, okay, this is gonna be one of those places where you got to go in and tell them, hey, I don't need the happy ending. You know what I mean? So I went in with a coworker, which was a female, and we both go in to get the massage, and we're just hanging out, and they're like, okay, we're going to put you guys in the same room. I was like, okay, this is going to get real awkward real quick. Cause I mean, when I say coworker, I mean, legitimately just a coworker, not attractive at all. And so we go in and we're laying there, and I'm like, this is going to be really weird for both of us. And yeah, they do the whole massage. They get done. They're like, all right, thank you. And they just leave. And there was not even an inkling of, hey, do you want this? Or hey, because over there it's legal. Well, I don't know if it's illegal, but it's not frowned upon. So there was never an issue. And I was with, they didn't do anything for her either. So I'm guessing it's not common, man. I don't think you would even find 1 7 or above that has paid for a happy ending or tried to pay for a happy ending.
Yeah, I don't know how it works. Like he got busted, so I'm assuming he had to walk in. You know, you look at like the Robert Kraft stuff, right? The Belichick.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm assuming the people that get busted are the ones that go in and ask for it, I guess. I mean, because like think about, maybe you're just attracted to the person, so you're paying for the service, and something happens. That's not illegal, you know. It's, right? I mean, like that, any job. I mean, you could, you know, when I was single, I met plenty of women at jobs, and maybe a couple times stuff happened, you know, whatever. So, and I was paying for the service, not for that. So like, I guess the illegal part when you get busted is when you go in and you ask for it. But if you're there, I'm assuming like, and you're laying down and they offer it, but they don't put a price tag on. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know.
I knew a prostitute one time that sold condoms for $100 a pop, and then you got to use it for free.
Ah, that's clever.
And that really, really happened. I mean, I met the girl. She got arrested, and she had hundreds of condoms on her, and she would sell them for $100 a piece, and then afterwards she'd have consensual sex with you.
That's clever.
And it was a slippery slope. She ended up getting busted anyway, but it was a pretty smart move on her part.
Well, what did you get busted for? I mean, is that
prostitution? Prostitution, yeah.
But she wasn't selling sex; she was selling condoms.
That was her argument. But when she went and saw the judge, they were like, "No, you had the full intent of the condom and the sex being partnered up," which, you know, whether conspiracy, whatever it was. But either way, she got busted for it. She only got probation, and she probably sold good 200 or 300 condoms in a month. So, wow. She was an active young lady. I mean, 4 or 5 a day.
So how do escorts never get arrested? Like you never hear
that's because you're paying for the woman's time, right? And that's why a lot of these escorts, even in Vegas, I've never done it, mostly because it's just too expensive, even when I was single. But you would take them out to dinner, right? Like you'd spend the whole night with them. And the whole, you're paying them for their time. So it's like, hey, we're going to go to dinner. We're going to go see a movie. We're going to go do whatever. And at the end of the night, it's up to her if she wants to stay or go. And then they can stay. But I still think if they really wanted to, you could. But at the end of the day, who's the victim? I mean, unless you're dealing with human trafficking, where's the human victim in all this with prostitution? I've never understood why it's illegal. Like out of all the crimes out there, that's the one that I'm like, I'd rather make crapping on my lawn a bigger crime than prostitution. You know, I say, come on.
Yeah. Well, I think the human trafficking, that's the big part, is like a lot of these women are, but you know, strip clubs are just as bad. You know, some of the women that are brought into strip clubs, you know, you have that human trafficking factor in that too. So
I don't think they do that anymore though, right? The back room where you can get the, you know what, I don't think they do that anymore. That's kind of shut down because of Chris Hansen.
I have no idea. No earthly idea. So
we'll have to send Brandon in undercover.
I wonder what the prostitution thing's like at the Olympics. I bet you that's off the chain.
Oh yeah. Europe, man, that's a human trafficking hot zone. So they're just bringing them in and pushing them through.
Yeah. Call it the Ho-Olympics.
The hoe or hole?
Ho.
Okay. The Olympics. Yeah. It's like, it's not an event, man.
You add an extra ring, a pink one, or a brown one, depending on what you're into. Yeah, anytime you got a big event, you're gonna have tons of that stuff going on. Probably making money hand over fist. It.
Yeah. Good one.
That's what I did there. Yeah. All right. Let's finish things up for your Freebae episode. If you enjoyed this bullshit, then we hope that you join us for the rest of the shows throughout the week, each and every week. We want you to become a subscriber. I mean, that's what this part of this is all about. So more subscribers, the better. If, check your subscription, make sure your credit card's good. If you've already been a sub, some people, your credit card gets outdated or whatnot. Just don't forget to come back. For those new to the podcast, you find us, wherever. We hope that you hang out with us throughout the entire week. So you can subscribe via thebaileyshow.com, thebaileyshow.com. Right now for subscribers, current, past, new ones, we got subs for stubs going on. So we've got Podcast and Pours 3 happening October 12th. That's going to this is our Georgia one. It's going to happen at Tannery Row in Buford, Georgia. Chuck's band Distinct Grace is playing. We'll do a live podcast. We have a $1,000 acoustic karaoke contest. We'll have some special guests that are showing up. We're going to have a good time. Beers, drinks, water, beverages, food, all kinds of good shit flying around. So when we have these parties, everybody has a blast. You can go to the Bailey Show YouTube page and search for Podcast and Pours. Like the last one, we had the Verve Pipe. So it's going to be cool. We want you to be there. Tickets are available now that you can get on thebaileyshow.com or distinctgrace.com. But for subs for stubs, if you're a subscriber, I'm handing out free tickets every week. So just the other day, I sent out some emails and got some responses. So you got free tickets in your hand. We'll see you there October 12th. You become a subscriber. There you go. You might get a free ticket. Who knows? Who knows? Like, share, follow on all social. Again, you can get that on thebaileyshow.com, but it's at Listen to the BS. Please share our content and ask people to listen, whether it's the Freebae episode or become a subscriber. And of course, if you want to be a sponsor, now offering outside of your message being heard and told throughout every episode of the BS, and also Honey, I Raised the Kids podcast that are released on Mondays. We have website development and SEO work from justtheg.com, GEE.com, justtheg.com. He just redid the BaileyShow.com. And if you want to see his work, it's really, really good. All right, Chuck, you got anything before we get out?
Yeah, if you're a young lady and you enjoy the sounds of a raspy voice, I will find a way to post Jason's personal phone number on social medias. Feel free to give him a call. See what you guys want to talk about. Maybe some sexy time.
Look, Rach would be okay with this. If there's a woman that would want me to do phone sex to them, I would have them on the show, and you guys can judge. But you have to,
we can watch.
Yeah, you can watch. Yeah, reach out. I tell you what. So I'm not like setting this up. I'll go into it cold. Reach out to Chuck. Chuck, was it Chuck from the BS?
Yeah. So
reach out to Chuck, set it up with Chuck, and then we'll get you on the show. And I will do that. I got to make sure Rach is cool with it, but I will. She'll probably sit in and probably judge me. That'll get really weird and awkward, but it'll be a fun bet. I've never done that before.
Oh yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
I'm telling you right now, there's at least one woman out there that digs my voice. No. So you don't think a woman would pay, what is it, like $4.99 a minute to hear me talk to them?
No.
You don't think people pay $4.99 a month for the podcast?
Exactly.
because my voice doesn't turn. I think there are women that listen to this podcast just because my voice turns them on.
I don't think so, but you know what? We'll see. Yeah, definitely reach out to me, Chuck from the BS. You guys reach out to me, and if I can get one, then you've proven me wrong. I don't think I will.
Yeah, well, we got a good number of people that listen to this thing. You thinking you can't get one person?
I think you're gonna get a dude. You're gonna get a couple dudes that'll reach out and be like, "Yo, man, I would love for Jason to make some phone sexy time with me."
Oh, I'm an auxiliary guy. For money, I'll do it.
No, you wouldn't. You'd talk to a dude too.
Absolutely.
Oh,
you said it yourself. It's make believe.
Okay. All right. We'll see. I'm in. So guys too, this is a equal opportunity.
Trust. I got a little experience now with this bidet thing. So I probably,
you know how to pleasure a man.
You know how to pleasure a man. All right. As always, we appreciate you listening. Please subscribe if you don't already. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Till next time, check out thebaileyshow.com. Make sure you like, share, follow on all socials. I leave you with these parting words.
Never got a pink slip either. You know what I would get? A guy would come around to my desk and say, "Get the fuck out of here!" What do we want to talk about?
Subscribe at thebaileyshow.com.
Yeah, baby.